All right. Thank you all for joining us and being here with us on this Thursday afternoon. Welcome to our Black Feminist Future Action Fund member all call. We're so excited to have you in this space with us. I'll kick it over to Paris to introduce herself and then also talk about why we're here.
Hello, good people. Happy Thursday. I first want to send so much love and thoughts to our people in South Florida or Florida in general, and also in Western North Carolina and parts of Georgia who are dealing with the aftermath of hurricanes, Helene and Milton. For as Black feminists, it's important for us to just be really clear that climate change is a human-made problem. It will require Black feminist solutions, and just that isn't those solutions are not just individual behavior. It requires a systemic change, and that is like a really perfect dovetail to talk about Black Feminist Future Action Fund, which just launched earlier this year. The impetus behind starting BFF AF was really being called to building the political power. And when we talk about the political power, we're thinking about the realm of where people make decisions about our everyday lives, right? So not just those who are, at the top of the ticket or the president, but the people who are on down to the soil, the person who does like the soil and air monitoring, like the person in Rockdale County who just passed recently, like a day ago, after an explosion of a chemical plant here in Georgia, right? That is an elected position, and that person was calling for that company Biolab to be actually taken down because of the chemical that was being put into the air to the climate. So people who we elect in this democratic project, which is again it's far from perfect, are supposed to represent us and our needs. And what we find more times than not is that they do not. So part of Black Feminist Future Action Fund, BFFAF, is to create a political vehicle based on the Black feminist brilliance of our electoral justice North Stars who are listed right here, to think about who can we elect who are aligned with our values and our views of the world, who can we hold accountable to our visions of the world, and what are the policies and practices, but in particular policies that we can champion that can shift the material conditions of our people's lives. And so it's deeply, deeply important. It's again not just around the president, it's about the dailiness of our lives. And so that's why we started BFFAF. And for more information around us, you can visit us at Black Feminist Future BFFActionFund.com. So with that in mind, I want to introduce y'all to Jasmine, who is the National Director of BFFAF. I just kind of, I jumped ahead, huh, Jasmine? Is it time? Can I introduce you?
Yes, it's time. Go ahead.
Okay. So
uh,
Jasmine, you're introduced.
okay.
Well,
Well,
let me
my
just
name
say
is
this. Well, no, Jasmine is an incredible, incredible political strategist, organizer, just overall amazing Black feminist based in South Florida. And when building out this new entity, I was like, who could really help make this pop? And one person came to mind, and it was Jasmine. And so it's been really fantastic to see your leadership in shaping this new thing. This is a first of its kind, a national Black feminist C4. So I'll pass it over to the amazing Jasmine Rogers.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, my name is Jasmine. I use she, her pronouns. I'm serving as the National Director in collaboration with Paris for Black Feminist Future Action Fund. And I want to reemphasize what Paris is saying. Even though this conversation tonight is very much about the top of the ticket, at Black Feminist Future Action Fund, we are focused all the way down ballot, and we want to do the work with you all so you feel empowered to the end of your ballot. At the end of your ballot, in some states, there's amendments to codify abortion in state constitutions, right? You have those city commissions, school boards. There's so much juiciness that's going on from top to bottom. And again, we know that we set the agenda, and we're encouraging you all to see it through all the way to the end. So, what is this moment that we're in right now, right? The unprecedented times. Folks are always talking about, please bring back precedented times. But we also want to uplift this moment that we're in, the moment where, we have inflation. A dozen eggs are costing $5 and $6, depending on how many hormones you want in them, right? Housing is completely unaffordable. I live down here in South Florida where folks are moving out en masse because of the spikes in rent and homeowners insurance, and the things that are required for you to just barely live. We're still in the middle of a pandemic, right? Our planet is melting. We are watching genocide in multiple countries in real time from our phones, from our computers, from our devices, and seeing the impacts of colonization, exploitation. I also want to amplify again climate change as not only a policy decision, but a policy failure, right? Um, Again, I'm in South Florida. We spent the last few days really preparing for a massive hurricane coming for us 2 weeks after another one impacted us, right? There's millions of people in Florida that are without power. And when we talk about why is this happening? Why does it feel like they're coming back to back? Someone asked, what did Florida do to piss off the earth so bad? And arguably, it is about these elected officials, right? Like it is about these fossil fuel companies that have been skirting conversations about climate change. And that's across so many different issues, right? That there are people that are in power, whether they were elected, whether money got them there, or whatever. There are people in power that are making decisions that are impacting the ways that we can live, not only right now, but in the next 2 decades, in the next 3 or 4 decades, right? And so we want to be able to have those conversations at Black Feminist Future Action Fund and really show people a way to show up at the polls beyond a party affiliation and really digging into our Black feminist bag to decide who do we want to rock with, right, in this electoral cycle. We saw the power of people with Joe Biden getting out of the presidential process, which is a historic move based on the discontent, based on the activism, based on the organizing of uncommitted voters. And now we have an opportunity to really shift and move in another historic way with the options that have been presented to us, which we'll be talking about throughout the night. We also want to acknowledge that we can't deny the moment that we're in as Black women, girls, and gender expansive folks to see a Black woman at the top of the ticket. And we really want to hold that delicately and have it as a part of our conversation. That's not something that we can ignore. And that's also something that we are not choosing to ignore here at BFF AF. So this is going to be a conversation around the language we used earlier was principled struggle, right? This is us leaning into you all as members. It's us reinforcing our values. It is us really, really trying to create something new and then keep recreating until we get to a place where we have liberation in our sights and we know exactly how to get there and the work, the political work, the work outside of politics that's necessary for us to get there. And we're so excited to have you on this journey with us. So, Paris.
Yeah, thank you so much for what you just outlined. The moment is really important. And yes, bring back precedented times. I'd love that. Well, we keep talking about this moment. It's really important, a couple things, right? So, one, something that's very clear at BFF AF is that though this is a historic election because of who, you know, Kamala Harris is, we cannot and we should not call Kamala Harris a Black feminist. She is not a Black feminist, right? And I know it'd be like, well, wait a minute, she's Black, she's feminist. She's actually an example of how our identities do not equal our politics. So what does that really mean? Our type of Black feminism that we practice here at BFFAF is around understanding how race, how all of our identities work to help us understand power and oppression and how systems work. Black feminists really work to dismantle the current systems and to forward something that is different, something that's based in liberation. It's really clear based on her track record as a prosecutor, and even some of the work that she was able to do in the Senate, that though some of her policies may be helpful, and I'll talk a little bit about that, we can see that she may be a liberal, feminist at best. She has had a strong record on some issues that we know that are important and would have deep impact for us in our community. For example, she is out front around abortion access, but we could also say that saying bring back Roe is not what us as Black feminists would ask for. We know that Roe literally was the floor, right? We want something else. She has absolutely been a champion for maternal health, and that would have a big impact on our community. She has been, when other people are not talking about it, she has been a champion around maternal health, and I think really could make some good progress in this area. When she talks about her current platform around the economic advances for the middle class, there's a lot of promises there. She talks about if you want to have a child, there's a credit for that. If you want to buy your first house, but if you're not a middle class person, if you are a working poor person, if you are living in poverty, what is the plan around that? She has made a commitment around LGBTQ equality. However, we can see that there are some clear areas where that we will not easily, she has not been practicing her Black feminisms. And some of that is around some of the things that we have lifted, which is around her handling, her discussing, her talking about the genocides in Palestine and not even mentioning the genocides that have been happening in other places like the Congo and Sudan. When she makes comments around, we will have the most lethal military, right? What in the world is that? Right? No one has asked for that. And we can imagine the reason why that she's saying that is because people believe because she's a woman, a Black woman, that she wouldn't be serious around the military. Her position on immigration has been absolutely deplorable. She herself is a Black woman. Her mom is South Asian. She is a child of immigrants. What are you talking about, right? In fact, there's so many things around her identity that you would think would make her think I actually need to be a Black feminist, right? I myself, she was raised by a single mother. She has no children. No biological children, I should say. She has this experience of going to HBCU and, living her life as a Black woman. These are all culturally relevant things, but it has not shaped her politics in a way that we would say that are leftists at all, but in fact have been really showing to be really conservative. The other thing that's complex around her run is that it means a lot to Black people. So as a Black feminist may have a lot of critique, I know that when you're talking to your mom, I talk to my mama and my sister, they are ready to go. They are like, let's go. This feels important to so many Black people, right? And we never want to be outside of fully outside of Black people. We want to be the tip of the spear, meaning we can move Black people more left, right? But it would be, we don't want to be, they have the memes of, the auntie that comes to the holiday dinner talking about politics and everything, right? Like we could talk about it, right? But we also want to be able to be inside of the container at the same time. The other thing I think that really feels important about this moment is that let us not be made not aware that who she is running against has made it very, very, very clear his vision for this country. It is a fascist vision. His ideology is based in MAGAism and Trumpism. We've all have been in conversations around Project 25. It ain't no joke. And what I tell people is that if we are seeing these pages, can you imagine the plans that we haven't even seen yet? It is really clear to us at BFF AF that MAGA cannot win. MAGA cannot win. That fascism, and that's down the ballot, y'all. We have to defeat fascism wherever we see it. And we are absolutely, absolutely, absolutely critical of Kamala Harris, right? We are picking our terrain and our opponent. We are not picking our friend. Jasmine, let me pass it back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. So, and that's why in this process, it was super important for us to poll our members and to find out, what are you all thinking? What are you all feeling? Um, what's going on, right? Like, what's the reality of the situation across the country and what's at stake? And that's why the question was so simple, right? Should Black Feminist Future Action Fund endorse Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States? A yes or no. And then also a question around, what are you prioritizing when you get to the ballot box? So we're here with you affirming what it means to be a Black feminist and what we're looking for as an action fund in some of the candidates that we're endorsing. So we're looking for folks that don't yield, are unbossed, they set the tone, and they apply pressure. Very similar to our sister organization, Black Feminist Future, we're using the same North Stars to make sure we're looking into electoral candidates and asking some of these same questions. I also want to reemphasize something that Paris said earlier, that some of our endorsements are going to have to be defensive endorsements when we think about the safety of our people and what's at stake if we do not engage, what's at stake if we get the other side, and how dangerous that can be. So for the past few weeks, we've had our endorsement committee, which is a committee of 5 members that have been looking up and down the ballot, um, asking folks to make a commitment to lead like a Black feminist. And this is the first time, number one, that there's been a Black feminist political committee that's making these types of decisions. And the first time we have made these decisions on some candidates that we want to uplift. So again, we want to make sure that we're emphasizing the top of the ticket. Absolutely, it has an impact, but then also getting down the ballot. So these are some of the first endorsements that we've had in this electoral cycle. This came out of our Georgia town hall a couple weeks ago, and members voted on Representative Park Cannon, Representative Dr. Jasmine Clark, and Devin Barrington Ward as folks in Georgia that have made a commitment towards the liberation of Black women, girls, and gender expansive folks. And the first 3 people that we want to endorse as Black Feminist Future Action Fund. So again, this is really exciting times. This is information that you'll get in your email. You'll see it on our social media. These are folks that we are asking you to support with your dollars if you have them, with your time if you live in Georgia. Knock some doors, make some calls, send some texts. And then also when you're ready to squat up at the ballot box, if these folks are on your ballot, make a decisive choice to support Black feminist candidates that are really, really rocking with us in a real way. So that is the work of what we're doing. And these, I'm excited to say, we're super proactive endorsements, right? Like these are people that we are proud to endorse without reservation. We know that they are going to be on the right side of policy decisions on behalf of our members, people that look like us, and our communities. Um, so we're excited about this. We're really, really excited. I also want to uplift once again that we knew that this wasn't a decision that we could take lightly. And something that I found interesting, the survey was anonymous, so I don't know who said what, but I saw the balance between reproductive justice and genocide, right? Folks that are looking for economic security and stability, and also concerned about a free Palestine and a free Congo. I see the emphasis on economy and LGBTQ rights. Again, that puts us in conflict with who Kamala Harris is showing herself to be in this moment. And I think that we can be very clear that on the opposite side of her right now, the other uh, popular candidate is someone that will give us none of these things that we are looking for, is someone that would amplify war anywhere and everywhere, is someone that's going to strip every access that we've fought for decades. We are very, very clear on those things. So overwhelmingly, you all are aligned on the issues. And I believe also that if we focus on some of these issues, it doesn't matter who the candidate is, we can be really principled and also struggle together to get closer and closer to the political future that we want, to the economic future that we want, the reproductive future that we want, together, right? Without having to leave anybody behind. So in this moment, I want to emphasize again that we are riding with you, our members. We looked at the survey results. There is no difference here. We are not changing anything. You all told us who you wanted to support. So I'm going to pass it back to Paris for our grand reveal.
Yes. So I want to just again give a little bit more of context, right? So a great question that came up with the staff, the BFF staff today while in office was, well, what about the consideration of a third party candidate? Why didn't we consider that? And I could say that BFF AF staff, we had a conversation, and really what we shared was that the left should take responsibility for not having built a viable third party candidate. And we see ourselves on the left that allows us to have something that's actually really competitive. That the fact is that this election cycle that has happened and people who've been primaried and ran as left candidates were actually pushed out, right? So Cori Bush lost her election. Jamal Bowman lost his election, and they were left inside of our party. We and that is an indication that we have not built enough power. Does not mean that we will not always have the power, but we have to build the power, right, to get there. I think another thing that I want people to know is that while our Georgia reps and we have some Florida reps, we're going to be rolling out people that we're going to be endorsing over the next couple of weeks, which are really, I'm very excited about. They are Black feminist candidates. What we're going to talk about is that we're going to be doing endorsement, but not as a Black feminist candidate. We're saying that in order to defeat Trump, to say that this is actually who we need to be able to protect Black people at this time and marginalized people. This is someone who can push. We must defeat MAGA, and that no matter what, a president's going to be chosen, that we are going to be, and that 70% of up to 200 of our members polled told us that Kamala Harris, that we should endorse. So we are, as Jasmine said, we are rolling with you. So BFFAF is going to be endorsing Kamala Harris for president. We know that by us sharing this, that people will be disappointed with us, that it's not what people expected. And Jasmine and I have been in conversation around what should we really do. For us at this time, what feels really important is that, again, this is not saying, will you be my best friend? This is not saying we love you. This is saying we're going to get you in here and we're going to push left. This is saying that we want to work to move you. And hopefully, once you get elected, some of the things you've been saying, you're gonna change that up, because we know that you're also a vice president right now. And you're gonna really start January with a really pathway to possibility. But we see more possibility and understand more possibility. And in this critical election, again, unprecedented, that it's important for us to not be on the sidelines around this decision, to get really in, like get on the floor. And with that endorsement, it comes with an ask from y'all, because we're rolling with y'all. We want you to roll with us. So Jasmine, tell them how they can be rolling with us.
Yeah, so I want to reemphasize again, a president will be chosen. And for me, in the work that I do, not only within BFFAF, but also outside, I absolutely and truly believe in state power, right? And the fact that our state legislatures can really, really fuck up our lives, right? Even in the presence of a good president, right? Like state legislatures have really done a lot of damage to how people live on an everyday basis. So this endorsement is a call to, like Paris said, commit, right? And it's also a call to pay attention down ballot. It's a call to rock with us, right? Down ballot. It is a call to say, We understand how historic this is. We understand that we need to beat um, the opposition and what they're trying to bring to our doorstep. And our responsibility to that work is, again, all the way to the end of that ballot. It is also saying that we are very clear that our responsibility to this work does not end on November 5th. We are building out infrastructure, not only at Black Feminist Future Action Fund, but also Black Feminist Future, that supports voters all year round, supports your organizing throughout the year. Like, it supports building power even when we're not in the thick of an election cycle, because we find that to be so, so important. Paris mentioned the accountability of not having a third party candidate. I have dreams and visions that one day Black Feminist Future Action Fund is recruiting and training Black feminist candidates, right? Like, this is the opportunity that we can grow from. This is how we can build together. This is our moment of accountability internally, and also bringing you into that space to say, how are we going to do this together? If we are unsatisfied with these choices right now, like, what are we willing to build that looks different in 2 years when we're talking about governors around the state, and in 4 years when we're talking about another president? What is the power that we want to build that's reflected in the first 100 days of Kamala Harris's presidency, that really, really is changing those material conditions for our people? So I want to pause just for a quick second um, for folks who have questions in the chat. Please drop them in there and we'll do our best to answer them. Because again, we're so grateful for you. We want to be in conversation with you. We don't take this lightly. We know that it may be difficult for some, it may be obvious for others, and we want to hold the balance of that. So, Angela, if you can pop that question in the chat and we will read it out. And thank you for your comment. We love Black Mamas Matter Alliance. So, Angela, while you're writing your question in the chat, this is what we're asking you to commit to. We're asking you to commit to voting on or before November 5th. And if you're unable to vote, recruiting people to vote on your behalf, right? Aligned with your principles. I know here in Florida, in Broward County, where I live, we already got our ballots in the mail, right? They're sitting in here on the counter. There's ballots all over the country that are at dinner tables, some that have already been sent back. We are asking you to vote early when possible. And if not, vote on election day. If you're in line by 7 p.m., stay in line to cast your vote. They're doing everything that they can to make it super difficult. So we're just asking you to be prepared. We're asking you to turn out your squad to vote and vote all the way down ballot. Some ballots are going to be super long. Down here in Florida, we have many amendments. In other places, there are several amendments, and we're asking you to stick with it and get all the way to the bottom. We're also asking for a commitment to hope and liberation, right? That this is not resignation. This is not the end. This is a building stone, a stepping block for Black Feminist Future Action Fund. It's the beginning of what can be in community and in collaboration together. So we're asking you to commit to that hope and commit to that liberation, so we don't have to make a decision like this in this type of way again, that we don't have to feel resigned to the decisions that we have. We're also asking you to commit to our voter guide and taking the Vote Like a Black Feminist pledge. In just a few minutes, you will see the QR code for that pledge, and you'll get the link. Once you commit to that pledge, you will download our 2024 Black Feminist Future voter guide. It tells you everything that you need to do to show up as an empowered voter and protect yourself at the polls. We're also asking you to commit to combating mis and disinformation. I recently heard that apparently the hurricanes are being sent to Florida because we're a red state or a swing state. That's the stuff that we need to shut down very quickly. We don't need people to be afraid to cast their ballot. We need to do the best that we can for folks to show up as empowered voters, right? And that is within our control. That is within the power that we're building. And that is also our commitment to you through our voter guide and also our toolkit trainings. So we are asking you in totality to commit to a Black feminist future through this work with us. So we're so grateful for you that are on this call. What that work looks like, and I'll show you our website for those who have not seen it. Paris mentioned it earlier, bffactionfund.com, where you'll be able to see our endorsed candidates from all across the country. If you are a candidate for office, you can submit your questionnaire to get endorsed, and you can find out what events are coming up near you. So part of our 4-point plan is to apply pressure. On Tuesday, October 15th, we're having an election safety democracy roundtable. On Saturday, October 19th, we will be in person in Miami with our It's Up to We Town Hall, where we'll be making more endorsements and just talking with Black feminists about what this election means and continuing this conversation. And on Tuesday, October 22nd, we are having our Unbossed Toolkit training. So if you are someone that says, you know what, I want to get my squad out, I want to get my community out, my block out, and I don't know where to start, we are here to train you on how to make that happen. And if you attend this toolkit training on October 22nd, you get a very cool unbossed box with some really incredible Vote Like a Black Feminist swag for you and the people that you interact with. So sign up to attend that training so that you can be a part of this work and be a part of what we're doing. So I am going to go to the chat and just make sure we haven't missed anything. Will these points be included in the voter guide or in another toolkit that showcases BFF candidate endorsements? Thank you for that question, Angela. So our candidate endorsements will exist on that website, and they'll also be broadcast on our social media. The voter guide will give you the points to show up like a Black feminist at the poll. So we give you the steps to make that happen. You're going to make your plan, vote down ballot, squat up, and you're going to apply pressure. So that'll be included in the voter guide. It also gives you all of the tips and tools that you need to make sure when you show up at the polls, you have the right ID, you have the information that you need, and you know what is going to be on your ballot from the lens of Black feminist future. It's also emphasizing the issues that really matter to us and what we're looking for. And you can also find a lot of that information on our Vote Like a Black Feminist website, which I'm going to drop in the chat. That is going to give you a lot of interactive details on, again, how you can be empowered, and you can absolutely show it to your folks. So thank you for that question.
And Jasmine, I'd like to add that I do think it could be helpful when we put this endorsement up, that the talking points that we have, that we share, because people are going to know what, like the reason, our rationale around this endorsement. So that is something that we can include, and that would be on our website. And I think because we do want to be, again, in conversation with people around this, even when it's difficult, right? Because mind you, even the sister to BFF AF, the staff there are like, what, right? So we have a rationale, and you may not agree with the rationale, but I think the thing that's really important is that we have taken your feedback very seriously. We have been in conversation with other organizations. We've been reading. We, really inspired by the folks from the Uncommitted movement, and who have said, listen, Trump cannot win, right? We have really been deep in conversation around how to rock and how to do this. So I think that we can provide those type of talking points, because people do want to assert that I'm less of a Black feminist because of this decision. And from my perspective, from my vantage, I feel very clear that this is not the time to be liberal, that we actually are at a decision point around, and guess what, y'all, this is not a blowout. That's the other reason why we're endorsing, because apathy is so high right now. It's not a sure victory. And y'all remember what happened in 2016? People just knew that 45 was not going to get elected. And we endured that. Millions of people died from COVID, y'all. Mm-hmm. There was a Muslim ban. There are actual material impacts in our people. So I know that I'm voting with I'm thinking of the we in mind, where that we know that the everyday decisions of people deeply impact us. And I'm choosing our opponent. I'm not choosing my next best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you
Jasmine,
for
do you
that.
want to go ahead? Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Jasmine, you want to close us out?
Yeah. 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 I I feel like I'm feeling all the feels in this space with you all and making this decision and committing to the work because again, we know that regardless of who gets elected on November 5th, there is work to be done and we are deciding what that work looks like. And we're asking you to show up for that work now and in the future. We're also doing the best that we can to support you in this process. So we're asking you to give us feedback. So every email that you get from Black Feminist Future Action Fund, if you reply to it, it comes to me. It comes to a human. I get to see it. I respond to you. Give us your feedback. Let us know how else we can support you in community with your people. Let us know, right, how we can build after November 5th or what you're hearing on the ground from other Black feminists or from other folks that are looking for more resources, looking for a political home. Let us know. Nikki, if you can put your question in the chat, that'd be great. So we want to be on this journey with you and in collaboration with you and build a train with you. We don't want to be an organization that disappears on November 6th and you don't see us again until October of 2026, right? We want to be here with you. So
Yeah. And so,
go ahead.
Jasmine, I would like to say this. So, Valerie, you asked a great question. Who's the alternative? I think that we have to take the responsibility, not just ourselves, but the larger progressive left movement to making the alternatives more viable and more real. I see that as a 25-year plan because right now we live in the world where money buys elections. I think y'all may have seen the new statistic that Kamala Harris has raised $1 billion. Dollars. And I think it's in 3 months she raised $1 billion. Citizens United always forever changed how much money can influence elections. We need to get rid of that. We need to get rid of the filibuster. We need to get rid of the electoral college. There are real barriers. So when we say that BFFAF really exists to make democracy work for Black women, girls, and gender expansive people, we really mean that. And there are systemic barriers in the way. There's gerrymandering. I keep thinking about what are the polling situations going to be in Western North Carolina? The place has
Mm.
been decimated. How are people going to even be able to exercise their vote there? Right? So I think the onus is not to, it's for us to be visionary. I don't want us to be reactionary every election. I don't. I don't, that is not in service to the vision of Black feminisms, right? This season, we are reactionary. We are. From my vantage, maybe I'm going to speak to the I. I think that we are because we see what's at stake. Um, but I think that's it too. So once we cross over November into November, what's our first 100 days? And this is why we've been asking you to take our BFA survey, our Black Feminist Agenda, because we want to move that survey to be this is what Black feminists are saying are the priorities for the first 100 days. And, some of them are some of the issues that we most commonly talk about. Um, like, for example, the economy, right? But we want to be more specific and granular for us. What is it around the economy, right? So, Jasmine, we have Nakia's question.
Yeah, so I'll read it out loud. Can you include in your talking points our concrete plans for how we're hoping to press against the genocide that our tax dollars are funding? Absolutely. And I love this feedback. Thank you so much for mentioning it, Nakia. We can include that because, again, it's about building power. It is about organizing, not only now, but into the future. And I think that we can also reach back to go forward, right? We have seen what power has done already in the past 4 months. with the movements, not only here in this country, but around the world. So that is something that we can talk about when we talk about the potential of us being consistent, sticking together in community. And I also want to uplift that something that Paris said, like recognizing that we as an organization are not in this work alone. Like we are working to be in alignment with Working Families Party, right? With other liberatory organizations that are also in this principal struggle and seeing what's at stake, and also to trying to create a different future. And so we know that this is not work that just us and our members can do alone. So we want to figure out how do we build that power in community. So yes, we can include that in the talking points. And again, if there's other feedback about what are things that you need to show up and say, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, let us know.
And I
Um,
think, Jasmine, what's really important is that a part of the reason why this action fund got started was that it was important for me that people understand and don't take us for granted only as super voters. They need to also understand us as agenda setters. So you're right. It is, we voted for you. Here's what's next.
yeah.
If you like, that's what I'm like, let's take out an ad that literally says that we got you in. If you, this is what you must do, right? In this genocide, in this, in that, do this, because it's really easy for her. She needs to hear from the left of Black people. She doesn't just need to just, she needs to understand that there's a good amount of Black folks, in particular Black feminists, who are critical and need her to do something. And that's what we are positioned to do. We're not just going to be like, okay, do you? Nope. This is, we are on your head. You're going to feel it.
That's yeah. I just and Wada, that is our tagline for BFF AF is we set the agenda. Black feminists set the agenda. So again, we have really incredible swag that says that. And I saw a comment in the chat about what we're demanding from the new administration. I am excited for us to be in conversation about what those first 100 days after inauguration look like. And that's another opportunity for us to come together as members and talk about what are the things that are the most important to us that we need to have the audacity to demand. Because that's one thing about Trump. He has the audacity. He doesn't know if it's legal or not, but he has the audacity. And it's about time that somebody have that audacity on our behalf. So I think that that's the work that we can do together post November 5th and then into January is deciding what those 100 days look like. So again, looking forward to hearing from you all. On the screen now, again, take the pledge and you'll get access to the 2024 voter guide that will automatically download to your phone. You can share it with your people, share the link, share the QR code. You will also see it in all of the emails from us between now and November 6th. And we're hoping that this supports you on this difficult journey, right? At the ballot box. We don't take it lightly. What has become such a privilege to vote in this country. We don't take it lightly that you are here with us and you are choosing to be here with us. And we want to be in this work with you. So we're excited to hear from you. We're excited to collaborate with you. We're excited to just keep building. So again, you'll get information. You'll see on our social media if you're not already following us, Black Feminist Future, all of the events and things that we have coming up. And we're going to do what we can to redefine power and really set the agenda as Black feminists. So thank you all for being here with us tonight. And you will hear from us soon.
Thank you. Good evening. Take care. Be well. Vote like a Black feminist.